Time to peel back with Maddie Levine, presented by Fight Bananas.
Happy Wednesday. What's going on, Fight fam? It's Maddie Levine back in action on the peel back. I got to tell you, Wednesdays have become my absolute favorite day of the week because I get to hang out with you and talk to you about all things martial arts related. I decided to go live on Instagram for this as well. So if you haven't followed me yet on Instagram, you can find me at Maddie on Air. What's up, Fight fam over on Instagram? Y'all are popping off in the comments. I love it. So if you have any questions that you want me to add into this episode, definitely let me know. But this episode going to be a little different. And I'm a little nervous, not going to lie, because I have to talk about myself. And this whole episode is going to be about my journey into the martial arts world and how I got into the broadcasting world, the hurdles that I've had to climb, the things I've had to go through to get where I am today, and my continued journey to the top. I'm so excited. We're going to air some things out today. We're going to tell some embarrassing stories today. And hopefully, I'm going to give you some advice that you can apply to whatever you're doing in life. Because I think some of the lessons that I've learned in my almost 30 years, I think you're going to be able to apply to your life as well. So first things first, how the hell did I get started with martial arts? It's actually a very interesting story. I was 21 years old. And I had just graduated from the University of Rhode Island, and I was lost. And I'm going to be super candid with you guys. I mean, the people that are very close to me know this, but I don't really talk about it much. I was a huge pothead. Like, I was always smoking weed. Too much. You know, like, people say you can't abuse weed. I was borderline. Definitely. And I was graduating college and I was a motivated individual, but I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to be in front of the camera. I knew I wanted to do something great, but wasn't quite sure where I was going with it. So I saw that URI was having a job fair and I didn't want to go. And my mom was like, you gotta go. I think I showed up about 20 minutes left of the job fair, and I came across a booth for Cat Country 98.1. And it was a radio station. If you're a country music fan in the New England area, you're very familiar with Cat Country. And we hit it off. And I landed an awesome internship. And that's kind of where my broadcast journey started. I started in the promotions department. And I quickly realized that I wanted to be on the on-air side. The promotion side was great. I was helping, plan events. I was helping doing so many cool things, but I wanted to be behind the microphone. And so I became that really annoying intern that asked so many questions and begged to learn more and more. And thank God I had such amazing mentors on that side that took the time to really show me the ropes. And I spent so many hours behind that microphone talking to myself, wasn't even on air. And I would just practice. And, again, luckily I had amazing mentors that would be like, don't do this, try this. And I was able to find myself. And eventually I got my first gig, midnight to 7 a.m. Thank God it was pre-recorded. So I did not have to be at the studio at that time. But it was so exhilarating to know that my voice was on the air. It was crazy. Fast forward a couple more months, I get a shot to be in the afternoons. Okay. So we're talking, what was it? 3? Oh, you know what? I lied. It was on the weekends, but I think it was like 3 to 7 or something like that. And then fast forward a couple more months, I get a midday slot, 10 to 3. Let's go. People are actually awake. People are listening to me speak. I'm like, oh shit, don't blow this, right? And then I finally get an opportunity to be on a morning show. And if you are in the radio business, the morning show is the bread and butter. That's the morning commute. That's when most people are listening. And that's the most content driven. And that was the first time I really got to cut my teeth on content and talking to listeners. And it was incredible. And about that same time, I was also finally getting into martial arts. And like I said before, I was a very motivated individual that was lost. And I had a friend that realized this and said to me, listen, come to the gym with me and try kickboxing. You're going to love it. And I made every excuse under the sun not to go. And she was like, listen, you can come for free. And I'm like, shit. All right, you got me. It's free. So I go. And holy shit. When I walked into that gym at Pride Martial Arts in Kingston, Rhode Island, I had no idea that it was going to change my life. It completely changed my life. I was finally excited about something again. I was excited to be a student again, an athlete again. I was an avid softball player for years. And to just be a part of a team again was wild. And to be immersed in something that I had no idea what it was so exhilarating, similar to how exhilarating it was to be behind the microphone. And for a couple more months, I just grinded. I learned as quickly as possible. Sensei Andrew Cornell is a phenomenal coach. So if you are in the Rhode Island area and you are considering martial arts, it is a great gym to get started. There's all levels there. But 6 months in, he goes, hey, you ready to fight? I was like, I'm sorry, what now? But 6 months in, I took my first amateur fight and I never looked back. When I watched that video, oh my God, I cringe. I cringed so badly. Like, I don't know what I was doing in that ring. I thought I was going to knock this bitch out. Fun fact, did not knock her out. And I definitely lost. But that's all right. 13 fights later, I had the most incredible amateur career. I won a lot, I lost a lot, but the one thing that martial arts has given me is confidence, discipline, new friends. The martial arts world is such a special place. And even if you have a niche all your own, whether it's soccer, football, chess, I don't care. Having a community of like-minded individuals that you can lean on and that holds you accountable for your life choices is something that you should never take for granted. Because without martial arts, I really don't know where I would be. Because at 21 years old, I knew I wanted to be something. I just had no idea what it was. And fast forward a few years later, I'm in my mid-20s. I'm fighting all the time, it felt like. And I finally was at a good point in my career where I was starting to become pretty well known. And I decided, well, I love martial arts so much that I might as well combine my background in broadcasting with martial arts. So I started to annoy the shit out of all of the local promotions in my area. And I said, listen, I'll work for free. I don't care. I want to interview your fighters. I want to be around the fighters. I want to maybe even let me commentate. I don't know. Like, I was just so gung ho about any opportunity that I could get. And again, I had wonderful individuals in my group that gave me a chance and let me fail basically before I got really, really good. And now I'm 29. I'll be 30 in June. And I've been doing it for about 8 years now. Seriously, though, like, I've been probably doing the MMA broadcasting world very seriously for the past 3 years, I would say. And I really feel like I'm finally coming into my own. I really feel like I'm meant to do this. I really feel like I'm supposed to be on the big stage. And I'm finally coming into my confidence. And I have that one decision when I was 21 years old to thank. And it's just an incredible reminder of how one little pebble in the river can change the current. It's crazy. When you think and you look back on your life and you're like, how the hell did I get here? It might be a culmination of many, many decisions, but it takes one decision to change that path. And I can't thank that friend enough for seeing that I needed a change in my life and taking me there. because it has completely changed my life. I'm 30 years old and I'm going after a dream that I truly think I can achieve. And that shit's powerful. And I hope this shows you, to anybody listening or to anybody watching on Instagram Live, I hope it shows you that you are in control of however you want your life to turn out to be. But it's important to have people in your life that see the dream with you or that see your potential. But it definitely starts with you. And I get people asking me questions all the time about how to get started, or yeah, I think that's probably the biggest question, is how to get started. And when I tell people that I worked for free a lot, people are shocked. And I don't know why people are shocked, because it never even was a question to me whether or not to do this for free or not. I knew that I needed to get my foot into the door by any means possible. And a lot of times money becomes an issue. And so I said to myself, I'm going to work for free a lot, and I'm going to show them my worth. I'm going to show these people what I'm capable of. And I'm going to show them that they want to pay me because they want me to stick around, right? And I have taken that lesson since I started and tried to apply it in everything. So I worked for free a lot, and I just got my reps in. Like anything, if you're in sports, you'll understand the concept of getting your reps in, because that's so important, because you're gonna suck. You're gonna be bad. And eventually you're gonna be pretty decent. And then eventually you're gonna be good. And I'm, like I said, about 3 years into the game, and I'm just finally feeling really comfortable to go live on Instagram, to have a podcast. And I'm still learning. So if you're scared to start, I think the first thing that you need to start getting comfortable with is sucking at something. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you're not going to start right away and be amazing. I knew that going into this, I wasn't going to be Laura Sanko. I wasn't going to be Megan O'Leary. I was going to be Maddie Levine from Rhode Island trying to figure this shit out, you know? But that's my little tidbit for today. I want to share some of the best advice that I was given coming up in this game that I think a lot of people can relate to. And this was one of my first bosses in the industry. Her name is Bridget, and she is a saint. And she saw potential in me when I didn't even know it was there yet. And when I asked her some career advice or how to kind of set myself apart when I was younger, number one, she said, be the yes person. Be that person that says yes to absolutely every single opportunity. Nothing is below you. Nothing is above you. Every opportunity that comes your way, take it. So again, that's why I worked for free a lot. And I got to meet a lot of cool people because I was constantly saying yes. People that were above me professionally saw that I was hungry. They saw that I was dedicated. And that speaks volumes. The way that you carry yourself and your work ethic is bigger than you. It needs to be bigger than you because it's something that speaks for itself. Another thing that I loved that she told me, and I will say this with caution, it may get you in trouble sometimes, but beg for forgiveness instead of asking for permission. Beg for forgiveness instead of asking for permission. This was one of the ultimate pieces of advice that she gave me that I share with everybody that I meet. Beg for forgiveness. Think about that. So let's relate it to something where I've done in the past. I have worked many, many MMA fight nights, right? A lot of the times I'll be there for an outlet, or maybe I'm there just as a freelancer. And a lot of the times, reporters are designated to their own area. And sometimes it's not even near the cage, and you don't really have the best view. And one of my very first shows that I worked, I did not like how far away we were. And so I decided to get as close as possible, potentially going through some tape, potentially getting really close to the cage. And I ended up getting some really, really incredible photos, video, just content for this brand. And nobody said anything. And I think that was a perfect lesson of just kind of bending the rules just slightly. There have been times where I've been caught. And guess what? I said, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I'll go back. No worries." Beg for forgiveness instead of asking for permission, and you will learn that the boundaries that you thought were there aren't always that solid. Bend the boundaries. Test the waters, like just kind of shape yourself. And a lot of cool moments have come from just applying that to everyday life. So, if you take away anything from this little podcast of mine, I hope that's it. And those are the pieces of advice rather, that I always use. Lessons I am learning now. Definitely a lot, but one thing is for sure, knowing your worth. Know your worth is one of the biggest lessons that I am learning right now, because I deal with something called imposter syndrome. And a lot of people use this word on TikTok, I've noticed. But if you've never heard of imposter syndrome, it's basically feeling like you don't belong in the room that you're sitting in, or you don't this one's tough to explain. Imposter syndrome is basically feeling like you don't deserve the accolades or the praise or the things that you've gotten in life. You don't deserve them. And I've definitely dealt with that. I feel that maybe I'm not as great as I think I am, or I don't deserve the opportunities coming my way because, oh, maybe there's somebody better out there that deserves it more. People don't really know me that well. Maybe I shouldn't even try. Like, these are totally ideas that just destroy people. And I've been victim of it. But I made a promise to myself. Okay, you ready for this one? I made a promise to myself January 1 of 2023. So we're only a few months into this, that I would step into my worth. And I had to really define what that meant. And for me, what it meant was realizing that I deserve the goals and the dreams that I have thought about my entire life. I deserve those because I work for those. And that's knowing your worth. Knowing your worth also means getting that paycheck, baby girl. Okay? I know I said I worked for free a lot in the beginning, but that's because I was cutting my teeth. And that's because I was getting my reps in. Now I know my worth. Now I know what I bring to the table. Now I know what I can bring to an organization or a company. And I had a very incredible moment a few days ago where I have a certain, like you go into any interview, you have an asking price. You know what you're worth, and you're not always going to get it. And I understand that. But with company standards in mind, I had a specific price tag I was bringing into this meeting. It wasn't even a question. They were ready to go. They were like, "Yep, sounds good." And I hung up that phone and I was like, wow, this is incredible. Because just a couple weeks ago, I was begging to be put on a show for an organization that I have been working for a couple years. They tried to downgrade my pay, and now they're not even calling me. And I have this other new brand who I've only worked for, I believe, once or twice, who was fully ready to invest in me because he said that he sees potential in me and he sees the value in me. And it was a beautiful lesson that the right people are going to notice your value. They're going to notice your worth as long as you keep grinding. Okay? So it was just a really cool moment in my career. And it's a big lesson for the ladies out there, because let's be real, being in a male dominated industry is not easy. It is hard as shit. And So there are so many people out there that are like, that's not true. Like, there's definitely a lane for you. Okay, sure, there's a lane, but guess what? We had to fucking claw our way into that lane and get a fraction of what you're making. So don't come at me saying that, yeah, there's a lane for women in combat sports when it's a one-way lane and you got a fucking highway on the other side. So I don't want to hear it anymore. The ladies that are in the combat sports world are some bad, bad girls in a good way. Because we understand what it means to go against the grain. This shit is hard, but we love it. I love this shit. I love telling people's stories in MMA. I love telling people's journeys and covering fights and just being immersed in the violence of it. Because guess what? Girls like it too. And I want to show people that we deserve a seat at the table. That moment that Laura Sanko was in the booth for that fight night and made history was a huge moment for women in combat sports. And it was so cool to watch. And it's just the beginning. And I feel like I am just beginning with this journey. I get to tell people's stories all the time on this podcast. And being able to share my own, I was shitting bricks. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm sweating right now. I'm fucking sweating. Okay. It's not cute. Not cute. But I think it's time that I start opening my mouth a little more and sharing my story and helping other people get started. And I hope you liked this episode. And I hope it showed you who I am as a person and what you can expect coming from me this year and hopefully the future. And hopefully I'll be on a bigger stage, you know? I'm a big person with manifestation. So we're going to start manifesting, motherfuckers. We're going to start doing it. We're going to start demanding what we deserve, you know? So if you've stayed this long and you enjoyed this podcast, I hope you'll share it with other people. I hope that you were able to get a little bit of Easter eggs out of this or maybe some words of wisdom out of this. Before I go, there is one question online that I do want to address. Do you have an end goal in mind with where you want to end up in combat sports? I'd love to be a correspondent for the UFC. I'd love to be rubbing elbows with the best of the best. Daniel Cormier, what's good? Dean Thomas, how you doing? Megan O'Leary, Laura Sanko. I want those to be my coworkers, and I'm going to keep grinding until they are. So I hope you're going to stay on this journey with me and you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you definitely like, share, and subscribe to the Peel Back.